How you doing, guys? So, as you probably know, retro gaming has had a big resurgence. And by, I guess, resurgence, I mean retro gaming's pretty popular now. Back when it was popular before, it was just gaming, but now it's back. So, you see a lot of videos of people, if you're into retro gaming, which if you're watching this, you probably are, but you see a lot of videos of people talking about gaming emulation, and the retro market is basically, it's mostly emulation at this point. So you've got all kinds of retro handhelds, and then talking about emulation on PC and all that sort of thing. So I personally am a lot more interested in retro hardware itself. So when I was growing up, we had a PS2, and that's what we played, and the PS2 is awesome. If you're around my age, you probably had a PS2 also, because it's the best-selling console of all time. So most people had one. And unless you're younger than me by a bit, you have probably played a PS2 at one point or another. But a problem arises. It's outdated, obviously, but a lot of the games are still fun. So growing up, we had a PS2, and me and my brothers played it. We had two controllers, and eventually they both broke. So after they broke, we ended up finding a wireless solution, and there were some at the time. This wouldn't have been super long ago, maybe 10 years ago, probably even less than that, maybe 6 or 7. I don't really know when. It was a while ago. We got new controllers. So we got these. They're wireless Hydra Performance branded controllers, and they kind of sucked. They're wireless, so they take batteries, and you've got this little adapter that you plug in, and you can have two controllers wirelessly being used on the same console with a little switch on the bottom. These controllers are not great. They were not super cheap, but they were like a cheap option, you know what I mean? And there are a lot of issues with this. For one, they didn't work that well. A lot of times it wouldn't register button inputs and things like that. Also, it's kind of hard to tell just looking at it, but the handles on it are shorter than a standard DualShock controller, and it's kind of hard to hold if you're an adult or younger than an adult but not a little kid. I guess they'd probably be the perfect size for my wife. She's an adult. She's got little hands. So regular controllers are too big for her, although she does like the regular PlayStation 4 controller. So I ended up getting a classic Sony branded PlayStation DualShock controller, the original wired one, and that's what I'd been using for a long time. The issue with that is the way I have my house set up. The couch is kind of far away from, it's not that far away, but it's farther than the cord from the retro, the retro setup that I've got going on with the CRT TV, an old Panasonic. So I'd have to pull my desk chair over in front of it if I wanted to play retro games, but that's where the topic of this video comes in. 8BitDo retro receiver for PS1 and PS2. It's PS1 and PS2 controllers. You probably know the port is the same. So we got this little guy right here. It is a Bluetooth receiver that'll plug right into the PlayStation, and it allows you to use a DualShock 4 or DualSense. And actually, the list is kind of crazy. On the back, it says what controllers are compatible, and it lists way too many. It might as well just say Bluetooth controllers are compatible. They list DualShock 4, DualSense, and DualSense Edge, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Xbox Elite Series 2, Xbox Elite Series 2 Core, and adaptive controllers. Wii U Pro and Switch Pro controllers. 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth Pro 2, SN30 Pro Plus, SN30 Pro, SN30 Pro for Android Lite, Lite 2, Lite SE, and Lite controllers, arcade stick, PS1 mod kit, and PS2 classic mod kit. Note, please visit 8bitdo.com for more supported devices. So it'll basically work with any controller that's Bluetooth. And it's actually pretty fucking awesome. I broke it out, I put it in, started using it. Initially, when I first got it and looked at it, I thought that it would be required to be plugged into something, which I was a little disappointed for power, because it's got a USB-C port on the front there. It doesn't. That USB-C port is for firmware updates. And also, I read somewhere online, apparently you can plug this into other devices through the USB-C port, like a computer, and hook up your controller to your computer through this, which I'm going to test, but it's really fucking stupid because it works with Bluetooth controllers and you can just plug your controller in. Like, I cannot think of a use case for plugging this into something to use a controller with that device through this. It doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to test it out. I'm going to see how that works. All right, this is the dumbest feature of this receiver. I really like the receiver, but it's got a really dumb feature that I just had to test out. If you connect it to your computer and then connect a controller to it, it works on your computer. Which is really stupid. Because you can just connect it to your computer. There's no use case where this would be valuable, because any controller you can connect to the receiver, you can connect to your PC. So the shenanigans with the PC got me wondering if it would work connected to a Switch, because there would be a real use case for that. If you could plug it into the Nintendo Switch dock and then use a PlayStation controller on the Nintendo Switch, that might interest some people. And so I had to try it out. I did not think it would work because that would be stupid. But it doesn't. I was right. It doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's that. So no extra features other than plugging it into the PC to use it connected to your PC, I guess. But doesn't work with the Switch. I'm not going to try it with the Xbox, because if it doesn't work with the Switch, I'm sure it doesn't work with the Xbox. And yeah, I don't know. If you want to use a PlayStation controller on a Nintendo Switch or an Xbox, I believe they make adapters specifically for that. Didn't really come with any instructions, but didn't need to. There's little directions on the back for how to pair it. It does say go to their website and make sure you're updated to the latest firmware. But you don't need to. Or at least I didn't need to. I plugged it in and I turned it on and paired it. It was really easy. Anyone could do it. And yeah, I mean, it just synced right up. It works perfectly. It works amazing. And 8BitDo is known as a company that makes really high-end third-party products. It feels like using a wired controller, but it's not. I'm using a PS4 controller, but you can use whatever you want. I don't know why you would use an Xbox controller to play the PS2, because it's just kind of weird, but I mean, to each their own, I guess. That's all you got. It works. So the one I bought is for the PS1 and PS2, but there are more options available than that. 8BitDo offers versions of the same product for NES, SNES, PS1 and PS2, which is what I have, GameCube, Saturn, and Sega Genesis. Basically, any of your retro consoles that you would want to use a wireless controller with, you can use this. It's also pretty neat because the PS4 controllers are a lot like the original DualShocks. The DualShock 4s are a lot like the originals. So it feels really natural to play a PS2 game on a PS4. 8BitDo does make controllers, and they make controllers that are similar to NES and SNES controllers. So if you wanted to get that original feel, you can do that with their adapter. At least definitely for the Super Nintendo, the NES, because their controllers are made to work with everything. It's not going to be exactly the same as an NES controller, but they have one that is similar enough. Also, you can get other third-party controllers that would probably work with the adapter that are very similar to those controllers. All in all, I do think that this is an incredible product. It's really nice, and they're pretty cheap too. You can get these for like 25 bucks. And you know, if you're getting it, if you're this deep in the rabbit hole, I'm sure you already have several controllers laying around that aren't being used for anything that you could use on this. I know I have 3 PS4 controllers and I never use any of them. So I'm sure you're in a similar situation. I also have Xbox controllers lying around and things of the like. So if you're in the market for something like this, I highly recommend this rather than an alternative like this fucking Hydra controller. This thing sucks. I wouldn't get it. I would get something from a much more reputable company. And if you get this from 8BitDo, then it works great, honestly. It feels like it's supposed to be that way when you're playing with it. I haven't had any issues with input lag or anything like that, and I didn't even have to update the firmware. It just worked great right out of the box. So if you are in the market for something like this, I do highly recommend it. This isn't sponsored by 8BitDo or anything, which obviously, because nobody watches these fucking videos that I make. If you're watching this video, if you stuck around this long, let me know what you think. Have you used them? Have you been looking at them? Is this something you would use? I know that for me, it's something I'm going to use quite often just because I like the original hardware. I like playing the games I grew up with on the system I grew up playing it on, and it is just all around a good solution. So let me know if you are in a similar situation or if you just got like an Analog Pocket or something that you use instead, you know, because a lot of people do emulate and they choose to do that. I like original hardware, so that's how I do it. But yeah, drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about next, and maybe I have it. If I don't, I probably won't talk about it because I'm pissed broke. But I got this. So yeah, just thanks for watching. Subscribe if you feel like it, and let me know what you think. I did not mean to flip you off. I'm just holding this. I'm very expressive. See you in the next one.